Wow, this is an alarming sight right here. Wanted to take a look at Friday. It looks like there could be a pretty significant severe weather outbreak across much of the Midwest, even down into the kind of ArkLaTex region, possibly even into Northeast Texas on Friday. So this is looking at the basically the jet stream level winds. And what we can see is a pretty alarming setup right here. We can see the dip in the jet stream kind of coming across like this. These light yellow, red, purple, pink colors, that shows really increased fast wind speeds. And so we can see that whenever you get this energy in the jet stream and it dips down, you certainly can get a lot of severe weather here. This is at 21Z on Friday, so this would be about 4 p.m. Central Daylight Time. And we can see that really all the way from kind of the Iowa, Wisconsin, Indiana, Illinois, all the way down into kind of northeast Texas here. Certainly a pretty significant area, large area of severe weather would be potential. And it looks like there might be a couple different modes, some kind of more northern mode up near this surface low right here. And then also maybe another kind of segment of severe weather down by Arkansas, Missouri, maybe even in northeast Texas. We'll take a look at that here in a minute. So again, this is the upper level wind pattern, pretty significant flow in the jet stream, certainly significant severe weather is possible here. Now, when we take a look at the 850 millibar winds, this gives us that lower level jet. And wow, this is looking pretty significant picture here. We can see where these winds just above the surface are strongest, kind of East Texas, certainly a lot of Arkansas, Missouri, Illinois, a little bit of Iowa, and then maybe later in the evening stretching over into Kentucky and Indiana. So we've got a lot of strong winds here at the surface. This surface low up here is really going to pull these winds northward. And so it's going to be a very, very windy day across the Midwest. And certainly this lower level wind field being as strong as it is would be supportive of some really significant severe weather, damaging winds, and supercells with a pretty decent tornado threat as well. When we look at a couple of the other parameters that we always take a look at, one of that being moisture. What does moisture look like? Again, we have these darker kind of greenish blue colors. These are 60-degree dew points being modeled all the way up into southeastern Iowa even, certainly across Missouri, Illinois, Arkansas, even some almost 70-degree dew points here across northeast Texas. And again, this is around 4 p.m., so kind of mid to late afternoon there on Friday. No issue with moisture. There's more than enough moisture with this strong surface low and then those strong winds pulling that moisture northward. When we look at a couple of the instability and severe weather parameters, I'd like to take a look at the energy helicity index. This is a kind of a composite parameter between not only that wind shear and what you need to get those rotating thunderstorms, but also that instability or kind of storm juice that you need there towards the surface. And what we can see is pretty significant area here, really from, kind of southeast Iowa, across Missouri, again, into northeast Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Missouri, and Illinois. This is likely going to be the threat area for Friday afternoon into the evening, and then maybe spreading off to the east in those overnight hours, but a really broad swath of the Midwest, ArkLaTex area that's going to be under the gun for pretty significant severe weather, it would appear, based on, again, looking at that parameter. When we look at another thing is kind of the significant tornado parameter. Wouldn't get too tied up with this or too caught in the weeds, but we can see that Arkansas, Missouri, and then even along that surface low, kind of southeastern Iowa, certainly have kind of an increased bullseye for a tornado risk. So this is something that we're going to have to watch very, very closely. Certainly last Friday we saw the devastating tornado across Mississippi, and then into Friday night into Saturday, there again in West Point, Georgia. So certainly we've seen a lot of severe weather across the South. They're going to be under the gun as well, but also into the Midwest. Looks like we're going to really have a pretty significant severe weather day there on Friday. One of the things that I did want to take a look at here lastly is not only kind of the composite, kind of example radar and what that might look like. And let's go to about, this would be 7 p.m. And what we can see here is really kind of two different areas. We've got this area kind of across the Midwest here, and then another batch across Arkansas and kind of east and northeast Texas here. So kind of this two modes of severe weather is what looks to be setting up. And so certainly pretty wide area of threat. And then I think what's helpful is to look at a couple soundings. If we look around kind of in Illinois around the St. Louis area, we can see a little bit of a capping. It looks like there's some storms being kind of involved here. Let me pick a different area that's out away from the storms. Okay, this is pretty significant right here. I think what we should focus on is this photograph right here. This is showing that the storm motion is going to be to the northeast at about 71 knots. So that's going to be, it's modeling that these storms will be moving somewhere between about 75 and 80 miles an hour. So we're talking interstate speeds moving to the northeast. So it's not going to give you time. If you're in the path, they're going to be on top of you before you really even know that that storm is coming. This is going to add to the danger just how fast these storms are going to be moving. When we look a little bit further south across, let's say, Arkansas here, kind of southeastern Arkansas, significant tornado sounding here, a lot of curvature in those lowest levels. Not quite as fast storm motion, still not slow by any means. This is looking at, 56 knot, motion. So we're talking, 65 miles an hour or something like that. So not slow by any means, not quite as fast as up there towards the north in Illinois. But again, very strong rotation here in the lowest levels based on these strong wind fields, as well as storms that are going to be racing to the east or northeast at probably 60 to 75 miles an hour. So very dangerous day setting up here for Friday. Definitely make sure you have a way to get multiple different methods of achieving those watches and warnings, whether it be sirens in your town, cell phone that's charged and can get warnings, watching the news, friends and family. Make sure that if you live in one of these areas, and again, pretty broad swath of the country, that you have a plan in place now, preferably. Because again, in the moment, it's going to be preparation time is kind of behind you. You want to have a plan in place on what would you do, where would you go, what would your safe place be to keep you and your family safe. So hopefully this event doesn't turn out as significant as it definitely has the potential to be. But I think we're looking at another Friday, a second consecutive Friday of a pretty scary group of storms, and certainly an even larger part of the country being under the gun for severe weather this Friday.